always be argued who the 5 most important men in the history of the WWE are, but today I'm going to talk about who I think are the 5 most important men in the entire history of the WWE. Guys who basically molded this company, turned it into what it is today, and multiple times honestly just saved the business itself. Now, before we get into this video, if you guys enjoy professional wrestling content, do me one small favor. Make sure to ring that bell for notifications and press that subscribe button somewhere down below. You guys will see all the future videos. With that being said, let's talk about who I believe the 5 most important guys in the history of the WWE are. Coming in at number 5, we have John Cena. Now, before you guys all go crazy on me and say this guy should be much higher on the list, there are 4 guys which I do believe are higher than him, but let's talk about John Cena real quick. Most of you watching this video probably look up to John Cena as your favorite WWE superstar or in your top 5 all time. He is considered widely by many to be the greatest WWE superstar of all time. I believe he is the GOAT of the WWE for the longevity that he was able to carry the company, for what he did for the company, for honestly, really, making it kind of cool again to be a wrestling fan. Many people will, downplay John Cena in the fact that he was the face of the company when the company started to decline a little bit after the Ruthless Aggression era into the PG era, or whatever you want to call that whole era of professional wrestling. But, that wasn't only his fault. It was bad booking. It was Vince McMahon not really able to write the best stories that he possibly could, and it was the fact that fans were kind of getting tired of super babyface. But let's talk about what he did accomplish. The guy is tied with Ric Flair for the most WWE championships. The guy has the most make-a-wishes ever by any person. The guy is literally, like, people walk around and some people literally call the guy a saint. Like, what he does for the community and the fans in the WWE, not many people have ever had that type of relationship with the WWE as an actual relationship. There are guys that I believe were bigger than him in terms of like global fandom and global fame, but when it comes to the relationship that fans have with a guy like John Cena, it is very hard to match it. To have that relationship with fans is something that, is very important when it comes to the sports entertainment business. And John Cena was also asked to be the face of the company, like I said, in very hard times. And he literally always took it on the chin, whether the fans booed him, whether the fans cheered him. The guy went out there and put on great matches. The guy carried the company. The guy literally had all the pressure of the world when it comes to the most important professional wrestling company of all time, and the guy carried that business for a decade and a half. Not a single guy in this list had to be the face of the company longer than this guy did since it became the global brand. I could honestly go on for ages on why John Cena is one of the greatest of all time, but you guys are gonna get bored, and I think it's time for us to move to number 4 on this list. Number 4 is The Rock.
If you smell.
Now, there's many reasons why The Rock is, for some people that are a little bit older than the John Cena fans, he is considered to them their GOAT. People will say that The Rock is the most complete superstar ever. They'll try to tell you that he is the best in the ring and that he was the best on the mic. And it's very hard to argue about him being one of the best on the mic. I do think John Cena is better on the mic. I think that is one thing that John Cena holds over every single other superstar ever. Whether he had to put somebody over or he had to put somebody down, John Cena was great at that. And I think Rock is number 2 all time. But the thing is, The Rock had memorable catchphrases that will never be touched. Like The Rock had certain things that even to this day and age that people still use in common terms.
The Rock says, know your role and shut your mouth.
If you ask somebody what their name is, you'll say, it doesn't matter what your name is.
What is your name?
I told you.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Or talking about, sticking things up people's candy asses, or calling people jabronis and stuff like that.
Turn that sumbitch sideways and stick it straight up your candy ass. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Like, there's certain things with The Rock that transcends generations, but the one thing that The Rock was able to do that, you know, really separates him from anyone else is the fact that he was actually able to make a career outside of the WWE, which helped also translate that fame into the WWE. When The Rock went and did movies and became Hollywood Rock and became one of the best heels of all time, that is something that people even like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, or Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, even though John Cena used that blueprint, he is one of the most famous, if not the most famous men in the world, The Rock. And it was because he was able to translate his WWE career and go mainstream, which then funneled people back into the WWE every time he came back, which was very beneficial and very important when it came to the growth of the WWE. He was also one of the biggest faces in what people consider the greatest era of all time, in the Attitude Era, and he was a, you know, number 2 to the guy that is number 3 on this list, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, many of you guys are going to say, hold on, number 3, there's no way there's 2 guys higher than him, but there is. But let's talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin real quick. Stone Cold Steve Austin is, I would say, if you go purely off the peak of his career, he has the greatest peak of all time. He literally made wrestling cool. Like, he made... Like, you were a fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin no matter who you were. Like everybody looked up to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Everybody loved Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was the guy that, like, made it cool to be an anti-hero. The guy that cursed every other word that he said. The guy that drank beer in the ring. The guy that beat up his boss. The guy that was... The second you heard the glass shatter, the arena erupted. He made wrestling global. Like, we're not talking about it was just cool to be a fan in the United States. It's not cool. It became cool to be a wrestling fan no matter where you were. Whether you were in a small country in Africa, whether you were in a small city somewhere in Asia, an island in the Pacific, did not matter where you were. It was cool to be a wrestling fan because of the bald guy with that goatee, with that, you know, he's going to kick your ass. He's going to just, everything about Stone Cold Steve Austin was the definition of the word aura. The guy carried the business during a period where if he didn't, there's no WWE. When they were competing with WCW, his character saved the WWE. The whole invasion angle, that guy literally carried all that. The whole Vince McMahon versus Austin story is something that is considered to be the greatest storyline of all time. For me personally, I do think the Bloodline story has passed it. Don't get mad at me if you guys still think that Austin versus McMahon is the best story ever. I do think that it's they're 1A, 1B, but that storyline literally saved the WWE. Like, we're probably talking about WCW today if it wasn't for that storyline. And the crazy thing about it, though, is even though we have John Cena, The Rock, and Stone Cold, all 3 of these guys would not have got to where they got to if it wasn't for the one guy that made wrestling and baby faces and everything pop culture. The guy that, you know, when we finally had WrestleManias and we finally were able to get into the mainstream, the guy was it. He was the guy. He was the guy that people wanted in movies and TV shows and commercials. And if you can't tell who number 2 on this list is, it is Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is the first superstar in the history of the WWE. The guy was able to make wrestling pop culture. The guy was able to move wrestling from being, oh, it's just the fake stuff, to, wow, this is cool. This guy's like a superhero. This guy's an action figure. This guy's like it's believable that this guy could actually beat you up, but at the same time, he is someone that you could idolize. He is someone that was cool. He is someone that he's in movies. He's friends with all these celebrities. He's friends with Mr. T. He's friends with all these musicians and athletes, and everybody wants a piece of Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan made so many memorable moments. Everybody talks about slamming Andre the Giant. Everybody talks about WrestleMania 1. Everybody talks about his 25-inch biceps, the blonde hair, the Hulkamaniacs, the I am a real American. Everybody talks about, you know, eating your vitamins and reading your prayers and working out and stuff because of Hulk Hogan. If Hulkamania never happens, Vince McMahon doesn't have the money to really continue to WWE, and, you know, we probably don't have a WWE, and we're probably, if we're being honest, in a territory era, because a guy like Hulk Hogan was marketable to anyone, anywhere, and any place, anytime. That you didn't have those type of guys during that time period. Many guys wrestled a certain way that only certain areas liked. Many guys only looked a certain way. Many guys only, you know, had charisma a certain way. He was the full package at a time period where wrestling really needed a full package, and it just perfectly worked out for professional wrestling that WWE had it. But there's one guy that is the most important out of all these guys. He's actually the guy for the reason we have number 2, 3, 4, 5. He's the guy who's the reason why we have the WWE, the guy who's the reason why WWE is a multi-billion-dollar company. If you couldn't guess who I'm talking about, it is obviously the the guy who created, you know, this version of the WWE, and I'm talking about Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vince McMahon might be the most controversial man in professional wrestling. Obviously, we know the controversies he has going on. We obviously know the guy was a freak and the guy was a weirdo. But to not deny the fact that Vince McMahon is the most important person in the history of WWE, and honestly, probably the most important person in professional wrestling, would be crazy. The guy had the vision, and, you know, a lot of people call him a scumbag for this, but the guy was able to decide, hey, if I want to make something massive and make professional wrestling massive, I need to go, you know, I need to have it in all the territories in the United States. And during the NWA time, everyone had their own territories, and you didn't step on your own territories. Vince McMahon said, why the heck would I not take my show and have it all around the United States and really just take over when I could have the biggest company in the world? So what did he end up doing? He ends up doing that, ends up buying territories, buying TV time everywhere, and creating the WWE as it is today. He also took a massive gamble by doing WrestleMania, but he knew the guy had a vision of having all these superstars and these characters and make these storylines that every single time just happen to transcend every single era. When you had the golden era and you had the Hulk Hogans, the Andre the Giants, the Macho Mans, the Ultimate Warriors, and all those guys, like, you need to be smart enough to know how to create the right characters with the right storylines and be able to keep moving them for years and years and years, to then move into the Attitude Era and decide, screw it, I will be that bad character as the owner of the company and make it so people want to hate me so they love my characters and my company, and have the biggest, and some people say the greatest era when it comes to the Attitude Era. To then deciding, hey, if I really want to go global and I want to have a massive audience, I have to go PG. If I want to make as much money as I can and be able to reach audiences that I was never able to before, I need to not be such a raunchy business, and I need to be able to appeal to anyone of any age, appeal to any sponsor, appeal to any country, and appeal to anything that I have to ever. And he moved into the PG era. And now our current era that we're in, we are literally an international global brand. To deny that it was in the works of Vince McMahon would be absolutely crazy. The guy oversaw the business from the first day that he took it over from his dad, to taking over the United States, to literally taking over the world when it comes to professional wrestling. The reason we are sitting here right now and you're watching this YouTube video about the WWE is because of Vince McMahon. He is single-handedly the most important person when it comes to not only WWE history, but I'd like to say professional wrestling history ever. Now, I know some of you guys are probably going to hate on the order that I had these guys, and I'd like to say, outside of number 1, you can realistically mix and match 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some of you guys will say Cena's number 2. Some of you will say Stone Cold's number 2. A lot of the old heads will say that Hulk Hogan, like I said, is number 2. But I want to know from you guys, who do you think the most 5 influential and most important men in the history, it could be women as well, most important people in the history of WWE are. Let me know it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far into the video and you guys enjoyed the video, do me one small favor. There should be a like and a subscribe button somewhere up down here. Make sure to press that button for me. Make sure to ring that bell for notifications so you guys see future videos. And if you guys have any topics you guys want me to cover, let me know down in the comments below. I love covering topics that you guys want to talk about. With that being said, my name is Alan Owens, and I want to say I want to show you guys much love for being here. This is me signing off. My name is Alan Owens. Much love from me to you guys. Peace.